So for 200 subscribers, I did a video on a 5x5 circle door. It is, well, one of my favorite projects of all time that I've worked on. It was, extremely rewarding to finish it and a great amount of fun to actually do it in the first place. But in that video, I mentioned that the fastest possible is not, in fact, 2.2 seconds, and is probably around 1.6. Well, it's since been proven that 1.6 is not possible. However, 1.7 is. So I teamed up with Emmanuel Plays, and we made a 5x5 circle door that opens in 1.7 seconds. So before we even get into this video, I want you all, right now, to go into the description and subscribe to Noob Guy MC. He's the person who edited the video you just watched, and he's an absolute masterman. I don't know how he does it on mobile. It's, it's incredible, and it's an absolute honor to have, something as personally rewarding as this thing behind me to be edited by, someone as talented as him. So go and subscribe to him. Thank you. In this video, I just thought I'd run you through some of the unique little quirks about this door and the layout and stuff, and talk about it a little bit. I don't plan for this video to be very long, but yeah, just running you through some of the things really. This is a really interesting door, and it's definitely trumped my 2.2 circle as the favorite project I've ever worked on, ever. This is incredible. I can't believe that I've finished this, and it looks this cool. All right, the first thing I'll do actually, before I explain any of the unique mechanics and little quirks and stuff, I'll explain the layout, because this is the layout in its entirety, extracted from the rest of the door. This is kind of as bare bones as it could possibly be, and you can see there is kind of a lot going on. There's lots of piston spam up at the top, and down at the bottom here there's a lot going on. So let me just run you through and explain how it works. So first of all, this piston right here extends over, and that will push this block where it needs to be. Okay, and then this one extends like that, and then this one extends, and then this one extends, and then that retracts. So that looks a lot like a double piston extender, because it pretty much is. You just don't have that last retraction just there. Alright, and while that's all happening, you can start doing the hipster setup on the side, which in its own right is a really interesting thing, which I will dedicate some time talking about a bit later. But yeah, those back pistons pulse, and then this one pulses, which will push that one in line, and then this one extends, and then this one extends. So you can see that takes the blocks that were up there and moves them down here. Alright, and then we can extend that piston and extend this piston as well. And then all we need to do is pulse that one, and then retract this piston to the side. So you can see we have a line of 4 blocks going all the way down. This is a system that was created by Emmanuel. Emmanuel did most of this layout, I just slightly optimized this top circuit. But yeah, the idea of pushing it down before it goes across is actually really unique, and you don't see that in a lot of doors, because mostly it kind of pulses down and you get pistons kind of pushing in, and then, you know, it all lines up. But yeah, it pulses down first and then across, which is very, very unique and makes for a 1 second closing. And by the way, the same hipster setup can happen on this side as well. So those back pistons pulse, and this one pulses, and then this one extends across, and then these ones extend across. So you can see that's pretty much the whole door actually in place. There's only a tiny bit that you need to do down here, which is extending this one, and then extending that one, and that's going to be those 2 blocks. And then you can extend this across, extend that one up, and then extend that across, and that will be the 2 blocks on this side as well. Yeah, and then what we can do is pulse this one at the back like that, which will push this sticky piston from here to here, and then we extend that bottom one, and that will do the middle block, and then we extend that one across, and then we pulse that one up. And actually that would happen before the triple piston extender, because you saw just there it actually pushed all of the blocks up in line. So I'll just adjust that like that, and then this, no, that doesn't extend across. This stays exactly where it is, and then that one extends like that. So that will be your 5x5 circle closed. This looks considerably more complicated than what we started with, but I promise you, it does all make sense. There is just a lot going on. First thing we can do, just to get it out of the way, I guess, is actually retract these out of the way. Like that. Really straightforward. You saw what happened there. So this one retracts, and then this one pulses, this one retracts, and this one pulses again. That removes the 2 blocks from each side. And then what we do is we extend this one at the same time we extend that one, and you can see that does the triple piston extension. This as well is really unique and was designed by Emmanuel, because normally you'd actually push an observer up from in the middle of the hallway to power this. But Emmanuel actually figured out a way to use the existing door blocks that we have to power this, which yeah, is really, really smart and significantly simplified the wiring from what otherwise would have been naturally much, much bigger. But yeah, that all happens, and actually for ease of mind we can retract this away. What I will take into consideration though is that this triple piston extender isn't like any other that you've probably seen, because it is folded. And what that means is, rather than everything just retracting, linearly, down from the door, this piston here actually retracts backwards, which allows for this extension to happen 0.1 seconds earlier, making for 1.7 seconds instead of 1.8. So these extend across, all while the triple piston extender is doing its thing, and then these extend up, and then this extends across, and then retracts again, and then it just goes down like that, and then these pistons extend across, and then we've taken the sticky piston that was here and moved it down to here, which allows us to pulse this one and then retract. So yeah, this is really smart, and actually I did slightly amend this layout, because normally what you would do, generally speaking, is you'd pulse this one again on the opening sequence to get this sticky piston back to where it should be. But because I was trying to reduce reset as much as possible, I decided to keep that sticky piston in place and only push it in on the closing, which is actually a much better way of doing it. Alright, and then actually I need to try and figure out, yeah, so I could just do that. Yeah, this one extends back across, and then this one pulses down, and that will take the block that was up here and move it back down. You get the gist at this point, I think. What we do next? I'll do the hipsters next. Alright, so firstly we retract those, and then actually in the closing sequence, I did forget that. These extend down, like so. Very simple. So those retract. And then, while those retract, these ones extend over. And also this one retracts. So then we can extend that one, and then retract it again. And that gives us some space to then do the double piston extension. The reason why we did it that way, and not using a conventional, hipster setup, is because, well, if you were to double retract the first block and then double retract the second block, that's so slow compared to single retract and then double retract. So we had to do it like this. There was no other way to conserve 1.7 seconds. These also then pulse up, and then those ones pulse, which will grab those blocks once again, making it all nice and seamless. Alright, and then you can probably see by now that gives us space to double extend like that, and then also double retract, which will be the hipster setups down. And we'll do that on the other side as well. Yep, so that retracts the hipsters, and there's so little that you need to do now. Look, there isn't much at all that you need to do on the top. First of all, this one retracts, and then this one extends and retracts, which is actually a really kind of big bulk of the top block storage already done. Because then what we can do is pulse that one over, which you can see primes that sticky piston ready to just extend and retract. And we can extend and retract that block as well, and then extend and retract that one and that one as well, and retract that double piston extender. It all just kind of folds away. You don't actually need to consider it that much. It's pretty self-explanatory when you actually come to wiring it. And that one also pulses down. The only thing I will mention is this tape system up at the top, which again looks really daunting, but all this means is we can take the block that gets pushed here because of this extension that we just recently did, and move it all the way round to this space that I showed you on the closing sequence. So this can retract up, and then that one extends across, and then this one pulses, and that resets everything back to its original state. That looks like a lot, and it looks like it's impossible to make that 1.7 seconds, because when I show it to you like that, there's so much going on, it looks really complicated and slow, but that's just because it's human input, and I can't at all give you the same amount of demonstration that Redstone wiring can. So I've exposed this as much as I possibly can using these modded blocks that I've added into the game right here, transparent blocks of iron. So you can kind of see how that closing system up at the top worked. You saw that this piston extends and then it pulsed down, and then I can actually show you the opening as well. There, you can see how that top works as well. I've hooked up a redstone clock here, so we can see what's happening repeatedly. And I'm going to show you the back, because that's where we have the triple piston extender fold setup, which you can see here. You can see that this extends, and that gives place for this one to pop up and grab the piston. It's so unique. So much of this layout and this wiring is really, really uniquely done, but it's all done for a very, very good and very specific reason, because we took a lot of things into consideration when building this door. You probably also saw, but I just show you anyway, you can see these hipsters working at the sides, where this piston retracts and this one extends over at the same time, allowing for this one to pulse over and return it back to the remote storage over there. It's so cool. I love watching this thing work. I have a bit of an unhealthy obsession with returning to this world every week or so and just flicking this very lever and watching it all work. It's incredible. It's so rewarding. I don't think there is a game on planet Earth that can completely, equate to the amount of satisfaction you get from doing something like this. Right, I'll actually start explaining some of the unique little features to this. The first one being this chest here. You may have actually noticed that when I've been panning around. You might have gone, what's this chest for? But this is just a way to make this door redstone blockless. Because, well, initially we put a redstone block here, but then I well, in my many times coming through this world and flicking the lever repeatedly, I went, maybe we can actually find a way of getting rid of that redstone block, because at that specific point, the only redstone blocks in the whole door were on this side and this side. That was it. If we could somehow find a way to remove those redstone blocks, then we can make the door redstone blockless, which would be an extra kind of funny category that would make us feel proud. So what I did was I put a chest here, and this has got an item inside just there. You got dirt, as you can see, and yeah, the comparator is reading through the piston. This is a Bedrock exclusive feature. You don't have this on Java. If you play on Java, then I'm very sorry that you don't have this, because this is, this is incredible for storage tech as well as kind of circuitry redstone. But this means that this comparator obviously powers this block here, which does exactly the same job as a redstone block would. So yeah, the store is redstone blockless as well. If you don't consider falling sand as an entity, which, well, it is by definition an entity, but if you wanted to categorize it as a block, given that it has, most of the time it will be a block, then this door is also entityless. The only sand we've used in this door is just down here, and this was to give a double piston extension to, well, these pistons here, so they could pop up and then retract them. You've seen everything. This was actually a trick discovered by a guy called Bean Source. I will link his channel in the description as well. Go and check him out. Really, really talented redstoner. Honestly, he's one of the most skillful people we have in the community at the moment. So go and show him some love. But yeah, he discovered that if you pulse sand up and attach it to a NOT gate or a redstone torch or an inverter, whatever you want to call it, it gives a pulse that's exactly the right length for a double piston extension to occur. Without any extra delay or anything. It is incredible. It's such a useful feature. I'll just go through and show you really quickly here. Right, so I just set up a quick double piston extension here to show you. Yeah, look how incredible that is. It's exactly the right length. It's really compact, and it was exactly what we needed to fit into this circuitry. One of my favourite things about this door, actually I'd go so far as to say it is my favourite thing, other than obviously the obvious factors of the opening and closing speed and the size and stuff. This door is non-locational. Which means it doesn't matter where you build it in the world, it's going to behave in exactly the same way, because chunk borders are a nightmare on Bedrock Edition. They're an absolute monster, they ruin everything, but if you know what you're doing, you can find a way of not allowing that to happen. So you see there's quite a lot of pistons and things all over the shop. There's one down here as well. Pistons updating observers, because that is the only real way to horizontally send an update to an observer without chunk borders messing it up. The only time I haven't used a piston to we haven't used a piston to update an observer is up here, because it happened vertically, so you won't have chunk borders to worry about in this situation. Yeah, here as well, actually, I did make a mistake. There is one here where we've used rails to update an observer, but again, this happens vertically, so we don't have to worry about chunk borders. Also, something that you probably haven't noticed, but is really significant, this door doesn't have any input delay. So as soon as you flick the lever, it's all just going to start working. The only reason why it isn't in this particular situation is because we're using a redstone block to preserve the input bug mechanic. But yeah, if you put a block just here and a lever on it, then you won't have any input delay whatsoever. This whole door is incredibly cheap, as you might be able to tell. And actually, we've been a bit cheapskatey with this door, as you would have seen from things like pumpkins and grindstones up here. We've used the cheapest possible alternative for every single circuit and component in this door. So it's actually not going to be that difficult to build it in survival mode. Obviously, you do have to take into consideration the observers and the sticky pistons, but that's kind of it. It's a really, really cheap door for what it's got to do. And also what's really cool, as you would have seen from when I activated this clock here, it's got such a short amount of reset time. I've maxed out this clock. It can't be any faster, otherwise it will break. You can see, literally, the moment it closes, it can start opening again, which is incredible. There's only 0.1 reset time on both the opening and the closing, which was something I worked very hard in an afternoon to get done. Anyway, yeah, that's about all I wanted to cover in this video. I really hope you enjoyed the edit at the beginning from Noob Guy MC. Again, go and subscribe to him. He's so talented, and he deserves all the support he can get for his incredible work. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to cover. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.